everyone, greetings from Brazil. It's a new month and I'm back. I hope you missed me. My name is Ifwa Akwa Harrison and this is News Generation. Well, July has definitely started with action. We celebrated 54 years as a republic and some of you share how you feel about the significance of this day. But before that, we tell you about Operation Occupy Flagstaff House. That's the name of protests that were organized on Republic Day. Some Ghanaians did that to tell the president just how upset they are with the current state of affairs in the country. It's not all heavy though. We spent some time at the Christ the King School over the weekend at the Christ the King Family Day Out. And I take you on an adventure to one of Brazil's most famous landmarks, the Christ the Redeemer. That's all in News Generation today. Please stay with us.
Supported by Cowbell with Vitarid.
Remember, you can always find us online. We are on facebook.com/NewsGenerationGH. Also on Twitter @NewsGenGH. Follow us and let us know what you think about our stories by sending us your comments. And thank you for all those who keep sending comments every episode. We really appreciate it. We're reading all of them. Now, they defied heavy downpour and heavy security to tell the president Ghanaians are unhappy. It was not the largest protest ever organized, but they made their voices heard, calling for improvements in the economic fortunes of the nation. The Occupy Flagstaff House protest finally ended the silence of some Ghanaians.
I like the way we have comported ourselves as young Ghanaians who want change. It is indeed true that we don't want violence, we just want things to be done. We've let a lot of things under the bridge. It's high time to tell the president enough is enough.
Hundreds of demonstrators, known as Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance, on July 1 registered their displeasure at the way things are going in Ghana. They refused to let heavy rainfall on the day prevent them from making their voices heard.
These demonstrations is in two forms. It's not just on the ground, but it's on social media. From everywhere Ghana is trending, Occupy Flagstaff House. We have come here, we've made our grievances, we've told them that enough is enough. We can't be playing with our nation like that. The experiment is too much.
The Occupy Flagstaff House demonstration was originally meant to take place in front of the Flagstaff House, but had to be moved to the Ifwa Sutherland Children's Park for security reasons. The meeting attracted men and women from key sectors in Ghana.
Our currency has been down some 30% this year. The deficits are terrible, and the cost of living is a big problem. I was watching the civil rights movement in America, and it always starts in a small way, where awareness is built, citizens begin to appreciate that they should get involved, and soon you have a groundswell that then leads to government sitting up.
Lawyer Is Ankuma was clearly not happy about the turn of events in the country.
It might just be a spark, but sometimes that's all that is required. I would be here if I was the only person here, because I've had enough. And when did I have enough? When I saw the pictures of your millions, my millions, being transported across the oceans and being filmed, and Ghana being made a mockery of and laughed at. We are being cartooned in Dutch newspapers. Really? Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana? I've had enough. And the ministers who preside over that shambolic event are reassigned. One is sent closer to the president, one is shipped to Ashanti region as if it's from Siberia. For real? That we only fire ministers if they gossip?
The protesters at the park made attempts to break through a police blockade, resulting in some confrontation. They eventually made it out of the park, only to encounter another police blockade, this time with water cannons. Not discouraged by the police, the protesters managed to get closer to the Flagstaff House, and some of the protest members were arrested. They finally gathered right behind the fence wall of the Flagstaff House and were met by a government delegation. The organizers refused to hand over their petition to Minister of Communications, Dr. Edward Omanibuama, demanding to see the president in person. After several exchanges between the two parties, 6 of the organizers made it to the Flagstaff House, where they presented their petition.
Presented the petition to the Deputy Chief of Staff, Madam Valerie Sawyer, who promised us that she would forward the petition to the President. Indeed, in our presentation, we intimated to her that we believe and we hope that the President will act swiftly. Fortunately for us, the law does not place any limitation or restriction on the number of times you can demonstrate.
Absolutely.
And so if it takes 100 demonstrations to drive home and to demand results, we will do it.
We are expecting that, and as always, we must always have the end in mind. We want to put on the pressure on social media. If there is a need for us to come back again, why not? The nation does not stop us from coming up to tell us, tell the President how to feel about things going on.
So what do you think about the protest? Do you agree with the protesters? Well, a political scientist, Dr. Evans Agri-Darko, believes the demonstration was a good sign for Ghana's democracy. Here's a more in-depth look at the implications of the Occupy Flagstaff House protests.
Perhaps it could be described as the first ever demonstration not promoted by a political party or its sympathizers. Their message was clear: unhappy with the way the country is being run. Poor road network, constant increase of taxes and petroleum products, lack of jobs, among others, were some of the concerns raised by the protesters. For political scientist Dr. Evans Agri-Darko, the protest remains a good sign and signifies people are ready to hold elected leaders accountable.
So when it comes to demonstrations, of course, in a democracy, demonstrations are allowed. It's one of the rights that citizens have. They can protest. Peaceful protests, well, of course, why not? Protests that will draw the attention of rulers with regards to certain happenings within the system that they think that will not augur well for their well-being, their dignity, and so on. So if people protest that well, they think that there are certain hardships within the state, and they're calling on the president to reinvigorate things, to see how best you can revise certain policies and programs, to put in place very concrete measures or even implement the measures such that we can keep our heads above water. I don't think that it is anything that we should be worried about. It's a group of people exercising their democratic right. What is the good news is that government itself has indicated that it's prepared to listen, and that is critical.
Some critics have, however, raised issues regarding the numbers that turn up for the protest. But Dr. Agri says talk about numbers must be rejected, insisting that the message is what remains important and not numbers.
Democracy is majority rule plus minority rights. You see, there is also the tendency in this country for us to rubbish something because there is a few people who are doing it. The few people are citizens of this country. Demonstration, I don't think that in a constitution we have specified the number of people who must demonstrate so that receive the attention of the government. I'm not in effect saying that numbers do not matter. Man, numbers matter. Numbers matter in the sense that they may signify maybe the generalized nature of the issue that has been addressed. But I tell you, there are some who may not also be prepared to go in there. It doesn't mean that they don't really feel the heat.
Protests are not new to Ghana, as many demonstrations have been held in the past to protest high living standards in the country. Many protests have been held in African countries like Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya that have resulted in change of governments. However, Dr. Agri believes any protest that will copy what happened in these countries will only ruin Ghana's democracy.
We are saying that democracy should be the only game in town, attitudinally, behaviorally, constitutionally. I don't think that is the intention of any demonstrator to overthrow the government. I don't think that any of us will support that move. It will send us back several decades. We are still in a democracy. There are constitutional ways of changing government. That's the next elections, through elections. And so even when we think that anybody thinks that the government is not performing, you wait for the next elections. But whilst waiting for the next election, at least we need to survive before the next elections. So that is why you don't have to keep quiet if you think that certain developments are not, are not auguring well for perhaps the development of the state.
I know some of you were at the protest with your parents, so please, please, please let us know on Facebook, on Twitter, what do you think about the protest? Is it important? What does it mean for Ghana? We're waiting to hear from you. Now, every July 1st is Republic Day. It is the day Ghana became totally free from British rule. It's been 54 years as a republic, and we asked some young people about its significance.
Because nowadays Ghana has become so hard that most people don't even think about it. But I think it's significant because once the British left us, it gave us more room to develop and acquire more resources to the ones that we have, and also to build on our public advocacy and other stuff.
The Republic Day is when the British left Ghana and Ghana became totally independent. We use it to celebrate and remember the past events and how Ghana became independent.
I understand Republic Day. I'm using Ghana as an example. If Kwame Nkrumah didn't give a full republic, we wouldn't have fully gained independence. It was by Kwame Nkrumah's help that we fully gained independence. So if we say Republic Day, I think for me Republic Day is a day a country fully has its independence. And some importance of the Republic Day is that if we hadn't gained Republic Day, then the British will still be ruling us, and with that, it will still turn and go back to the way they fully ruled us. So for me, Republic Day is a very good one.
We celebrate Republic Day because that's the time the British or their colonial masters leave a country and when they become fully independent. It helps us remember about the past and how to be strong and determined in order to gain independence for your country as Kwame Nkrumah did.
A Republic Day in Ghana is, it talks about the departure of the colonial masters, which is the Britons, from Gold Coast. And I think we should celebrate it so that we remember about the history and how our leaders gained independence for Ghana.
Well, let's now catch up with some stories from the local scene.
A 25-year-old man, Jacob Kuli, is in police custody for allegedly burning his 8-year-old daughter's hands for stealing fish from soup. According to his landlord, who reported the case, he spotted severe bruises on the victim's back and burns on her hands. When asked what happened, Kuli's daughter said her father dipped her hands into boiling water after he had beaten her up for stealing fish from soup. Kuli has been arrested and charged with causing harm and is to appear at the Tema Circuit Court for trial. President John Mahama says he shares in the disappointment and frustrations of all Ghanaians. His comments come after the July 1st protest against the current economic and social hardships in the country. More than 300 aggrieved Ghanaians petitioned the president at the Flagstaff House in the Occupy Flagstaff House march. Health ministers from 11 African countries are meeting in Accra to discuss ways to stop the Ebola outbreak. The disease has affected 3 West African countries so far, including Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. Ebola kills 90% of those infected, and there's no vaccine or cure for it. It spreads through contact with an infected person's bodily fluids. According to the World Health Organization, drastic action is needed to ensure that the virus does not spread to other countries in the West African region.
Well, let's continue to thank God that it hasn't spread here and will never spread here. Now, the school year is ending soon, and for some of you, this means vacation time. But holidays don't always mean you get to spend time with your family. That's why young people from Christ the King International School got a special time out. They had a day out with their parents and have been telling us what this annual day means to them.
The family day out is time for these young ones to have fun with their parents, and some of them could not hide their excitement.
Too much, a lot, and there's more to come, so just waiting. So far, when I came here, I prepared my mind, so what I had wanted is what I've seen, so I'm okay.
Very happy, because after this week, we are going to revision week, and this is the last fun we can have for the term.
From cruising on this miniature train to sharpening their goal-scoring skills, both boys and girls got passionate, all in the hopes of grabbing this grand trophy. The much younger ones had bouncy castles and the seesaw to enjoy as well. The Christ the King Family Day Out is held every year to bring parents and their children closer. Some parents who spoke to us say this is exactly what they needed and encourage other parents to pay attention to their children.
Well, how about that? They look like they had so much fun. Well, it's time to take a break. There's more News Generation after this. Now let me take you to Brazil, where the Christ the Redeemer is probably one of that country's most famous landmarks. At least in almost every movie I have seen, it is used to establish the city of Rio de Janeiro. Well, I had the chance to visit and it was simply amazing.
The Christ Redeemer is a very important statue. It's big for Brazil.
This is 11-year-old Carlos. He lives in Rio de Janeiro, where the Christ the Redeemer statue is located. But this is the first time he is actually going up to see it. Funny enough, seeing this famous landmark is not his goal. He wants to see some wildlife.
I don't think much of the statue myself. I see it every day, but it's very famous for tourists.
He has a day off from school today, and so with his parents, he's off to see the Cristo Redentor, which is how the statue is called in Portuguese. The Christ the Redeemer is 82 years old. It was inaugurated in October 1931 by the then president. Its height measures the equivalent of a 13-floor-story building. The statue, which took 9 years to construct, was built as a symbol of Brazilian Christianity. Christ's open arms means the city is blessed. Over 300,000 people visit this landmark every year, and you need a ticket to get close to the Christ the Redeemer.
And there are 3 ways to get to the top of the Corcovado mountain. By train, as we're doing now. You can also take a van, or you can walk up there, but it's a 6-hour hike and it's not so safe. But the view, I'm sure, is very well worth it. Not only can you see parts of the Christ the Redeemer from various points in the city of Rio, you can see almost every part of Rio de Janeiro on top of the Christ the Redeemer.
Unfortunately, we do not get to experience the beauty of Rio's night lights at the top. The weather changes and it's very foggy, which is one of the disadvantages. We also lose 11-year-old Carlos in the fog, but we meet some new people, including 16-year-old Brazilian singer Fernanda Vegas.
So that was the trip up the Corcovado Mountain to see the Christ the Redeemer. Now, the Black Stars' performance at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil is making international waves, especially the threat to boycott training over non-payment of appearance fees. Now, there might be a Hollywood movie based on the story of government airlifting $3 million to pay them.
An award-winning U.S. writer, Daryl Watson Rigby, is reportedly planning a Hollywood thriller of the odd story of the Black Stars World Cup fees. The movie will center on a career tasked with delivering $3 million to the camp of the Stars to stop them from quitting the competition in protest at lack of pay. Of course, it's based on the true story, but will have fictional elements. This might well be the twist. The plot will show the $3 million stolen after the courier is ambushed in spite of security escorts. The lead character then has less than 12 hours to recover the money or face the wrath of his employers and to avoid a major historical first of a team refusing to play at the World Cup. Watson Rigby is a former staff writer for Homicide, Life on the Street, a celebrated Emmy-winning TV series. A U.S. production company has apparently already chosen the Black Stars movie. This is the second football-related story to emerge from Brazil 2014, following news that Warner Brothers also plans to capitalize on the U.S. World Cup fever to remake the cult classic Michael Caine's story, Escape to Victory.
So, how many hours do you estimate you spend at school each week? 40? Well, Brazilian children spend an average of 20 hours a week in school. They are in class for about 4 hours each day. Crazy, right? Well, here's more on formal education in Brazil. It is an average weekday afternoon in Rosinha, Rio de Janeiro, and we are at the Creche Escola school. We are in Miss Eugenia's primary 5 class of 15 students, and it's the last period. Classes are held in shifts, the morning from 7 to 12, and then the afternoon from 1 to 5 p.m.
Vejo televisão.
I watch TV.
That's all? Natação.
And he does swimming.
And it's the same for most of the students here. They chill out in the morning and come to school around midday for the afternoon. They feel it is enough and cannot imagine going to school for 8 hours like students in Ghana. I don't think it's a great idea. It doesn't leave you much time to do other stuff. The Brazilian educational system is divided into 3 levels: fundamental, intermediate, and higher education. This is a fundamental class and it is compulsory for all children between 7 and 14 years. Miss Eugenia, who has been a teacher for over 30 years, explains the curriculum. Students start primary school at 6 for a 9-year basic education.
6 anos. Português, matemática, história do Brasil e história geral.
Here we teach 6 subjects: Portuguese, history of Brazil, geography, science, maths, and physical education.
De educação física, capoeira.
Capoeira?
Capoeira eles têm toda segunda-feira. Acho que sim, se você programar, fazer planejamento.
If the teaching is of good quality, I think it's enough.
Eu acho que é suficiente, sim.
For Eugenia, it is not so much an issue of the hours of learning that disturbs her about education in Brazil. She's more concerned about the opportunities these children have to attain higher education.
Uma questão de regiões do Brasil, realmente. Nas grandes metrópoles, nos grandes...
In the big cities, the children have more opportunities for higher education. The schools are better, but in the interior, the people do not have that much opportunity.
Entendeu? E de lugares de muito interior mesmo.
These are thoughts that are, however, very far from the minds of these young ones. Creche Escola is a private school that only keeps students until the 5th grade. From here, most of the students will further up at a public school to start middle school and go on to high school. Students find schools based on a lottery system where they find space in a public school of choice.
Well, time to find out what is making the rounds in the world of sports.
The Ghana Football Association has issued a public apology for the Black Stars' early exit from Brazil. Speaking at a press conference in Accra, GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi noted the performance of the team did not match the expectations of Ghanaians. Ghana made a third successive World Cup appearance at the international games. The Stars exited the competition in the first round after picking just 1 point from a maximum 9 in a group which included Germany, Portugal and the United States. Barcelona have begun talks with Liverpool over a deal for £80 million striker Luis Suarez. Officials from both clubs have had a discussion over a deal for the 27-year-old Uruguayan international. Suarez, who has 4 years remaining on his Liverpool contract, is serving a 4-month ban for biting Italy's Giorgio Chiellini during the World Cup. Convicted match fixer at the center of allegations surrounding a World Cup game between Cameroon and Croatia has denied predicting the correct result. German magazine Der Spiegel claimed Wilson Rajperumal correctly predicted the outcome of the Group A game. The magazine noted Rajperumal wrote in a Facebook chat out before the World Cup game that the result of the match would be a 4-0 victory for Croatia and that a player of Cameroon would get a red card in the first half. Perumal rejected the timing of the conversation and apologized to the Cameroon Football Federation for any offense caused. He was jailed in Finland in 2011 for fixing games.
So that's it for this edition of News Generation. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can send your comments to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/NewsGenerationGH. Also find us and add us on Twitter at NewsGenGH. Until next time, have a good day.
News Generation, supported by
Cowbell with Vitarid.